Hey YouTube, Brian LCS, thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, the Amazing Spider-Man #7 review. So, one thing I wanted to point out on this cover, very little subtle. So this is Norman Osborn. He's holding a Spider-Man mask, or almost looks like a helmet. But if you notice his cufflink there, little green goblin cufflink, which I thought was a nice little touch. Didn't notice that until I looked at the cover a few times. So just figured I'd point that out. But let's jump into the story. This is a pretty good, it was a pretty good issue. So we open up with the Vulture and his daughter, and they're having a conversation, and it's not going well. She realizes that he has a very bad past, and that he has murdered people, and that she is going to turn him in, as what she says in her words, basically, saying that she's been lied to, she's hurt, and that she's going to turn him in. And then he realizes that in when she was describing it, that she said he, and so the Vulture puts two and two together, and so he is now out for blood after Spider-Man, because he realizes, he was the one who filled her in on this information, and he wants revenge. So this is a continuing story from Zeb Wells. Art and the cover as well was John Romita Jr. So we will continue with this story. So then we cut to Peter Parker at Oscorp with Norman Osborn. And basically Norman has invited him. He is starting up a new version of Oscorp, and he is basically asking him to come join him and work for him. And he's showing, Norman Osborn showing Peter Parker around, and they run into an intern, and they're having this kind of conversation back and forth, a little bit of an awkward conversation. She's remembering his time at Parker Industries, and she gets introduced to Peter as Kamala Khan, so Miss Marvel. So it's a little interesting, piece that was in the story, that Kamala Khan is an intern at Oscorp. And then Peter happens to run into none other than Mary Jane. And so Norman exits, and they kind of have they have a little conversation here, and he's apologizing. And Mary Jane definitely seems less annoyed with Peter or angry with him. It's kind of a civil conversation that goes on, and he apologizes and says he's going to leave her alone. And Mary Jane happened to be there. She had a question for some pharmaceuticals that she had asked Norman to review for her, because she's thinking of taking a new position with a pharmaceutical company. So that's why she ended up being there. And then we see her boyfriend, I believe, this is Paul, and they show a little scene where what Paul may be thinking in his head, where he wants to take a shot at Peter. But we come back to reality, and he's, Paul's very nice and saying, hey, let's grab dinner sometime. And, Peter's like, yeah, sure. And then Paul and Mary Jane walk off, and they're talking about, the information that she received from Norman, and they mention that, it's time to celebrate. And then we see Kamala Khan in the background saying, wow, that was brutal. And then, Peter starts to put two and two together and gets angry. And then he storms into Norman Osborn's office and basically says, hey, look, what did you do here? This is too much of a coincidence that, you invite me here, Mary Jane is here. And he admits that, look, I was, thought maybe I could help there. And Peter basically says, look, stay away from anybody I love. You don't get to do that to me. And then Norman, gets back and says, look, I apologize. I want to work together with you. And we see something here in the closet. And Peter's saying, look, stay away from my family. I thought I needed your help. I don't need it anymore. And he leaves. And we see that, Norman has a Spidey suit, and it looks like it's modified to be some tech from the Goblin, the Green Goblin. So then we cut to the Vulture picking up from the earlier story, and now the Vulture is in pursuit of Spider-Man, and he spots his prey, and we get this nice, well, not just yet, really nice artwork here. Spider-Man swinging, see his reflection off one of the skyscrapers, and then his spider sense goes off. And then we get this really nice splash page. So Vulture attacks, and then we see this little battle, and he really took Peter, or Spider-Man, by surprise. And he's bringing it up higher and higher in the air. And then he drops him and then grabs him again and is, pummeling him a little bit. And then he takes out Spider-Man's web shooters here. And then we see the Vulture drop him again. And, Peter's even saying to himself, I need to get a web on him before his web shooters are disabled. And then we see, Peter falling, or Spider-Man falling to the ground. And that's where we leave off for this issue. And it says, in 2 weeks, Spider-Man's funeral. And so that's where we leave this issue. I think there was maybe a splash page that I missed premiering next to issue. Where is it? Ah, here it is. So there it is. So that's it. That is the issue. Overall, not bad. We have Norman Osborn coming back into the picture. We have the Vulture coming back into the picture. We see a little bit of reconciling between Mary Jane and Peter, although we still don't know the full story there. But we do see that, things seem to be turning for Peter in the beginning, and then obviously they take a turn for the worse at the end with the Vulture attack. So, but overall, I thought it was a good issue. Classic Vulture, classic villain from Spider-Man's past, and then obviously Norman Osborn, Green Goblin. So in this new Spidey suit. So we will certainly see some more of that, I think, in the next few issues. But overall, not a bad story. Wasn't very enjoyable read. We did get a little bit of a glimpse of, like I said, what's going on a little bit more with Mary Jane. So overall, looking at it, my 5 web system, I'm going to go with a 4. I think it was a solid read, very enjoyable. Art was a little better. John Romita Jr.'s art, I think, is getting a little bit better. I think he is improving as he's doing more of the artwork. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and we will see you for issue 8.